You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. Audible has over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 122.
Spruce Pine Alien Conference and Expo, Lost Kentucky Boy Found, and Pope Lick Road.
That's right. So welcome back. If this is your first time listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast and it's your birthday, happy birthday. If you are a returning person, as in you have returned back to the podcast and you're listening today and today is your birthday, happy birthday. If it's not your birthday, it's your lucky day because you found us. Yes.
Oh, God.
That's right. So what is the CreepGeeks Podcast? First off, let me tell you, my name is Greg. I'm one of your hosts.
And I'm Omi.
Also one of your hosts.
And broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our CreepGeeks Bunker Studio in the mountains of western North Carolina, we're an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the paranormal, the weird, the strange, the stupid, and tech topics circulating the web.
That's right. So whenever we find something to be interesting, we talk about it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do. So this podcast, and if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, it used to be, I was going to say typically is one episode per week, but we are kicking it up a notch.
Oh.
2 episodes a week, and we started 2 weeks ago. Yeah. It's called Weird Wednesday. That's our second podcast episode. And what is Weird Wednesday?
We break down an unusual topic or subject or a trending phenomenon that everybody else is starting to pay attention to.
Yeah. Or they already know about it.
Yeah. Or maybe they've never heard of it.
Yes.
Yes.
See? And so you should join us for this upcoming episode. It'll be the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah.
And that's coming off the heels of our Georgia Bigfoot Conference, where we went there and attended the Georgia Bigfoot Conference. And since we were in the area, as in Georgia, we decided to go on down and check out the Guidestones. Now, me and Omi have done that before, and we have checked it out before. But we figured, hey.
Yeah, you might even, if you do a deep dive, you might actually find our old podcast episodes on these, as well as our Instagram photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. So, here's the deal. You can call the show and leave us a message if you'd like to share. Right? No judgment. Anonymity guaranteed. It's completely up to you. And the number is free. And what's that number?
575-208-4025.
That's right. And if you feel so inclined, you can also support the podcast. You can support the CreepGeeks Podcast with little to no effort on your part. Yeah. You want to know how? I'll tell you how. See, I didn't give you a chance to answer there. See? Won't cost you anything. So what the deal is if you go to Amazon.com and you buy something off Amazon.com, using our affiliate link, we'll get a small percentage. Doesn't change your price, doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us to keep the coffee flowing and gas in our DIY camper van, the Albino Rhino. Yeah. And that link is Amazon.com/shop/CheapGeek.
And there will be a link in the show notes.
Yes. Very, very nice. There are a couple different places you can listen to the podcast aside from iTunes and Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts and iHeartRadio and SoundCloud and Spotify and Stitcher and all that sort of thing. But we're pretty much everywhere. So if you'd like to listen to us, that's awesome. Even more awesome would be if you leave a little comment about the podcast.
Leave us a review.
Yeah. Comment, review, very much appreciated. Helps our podcast grow.
Yep.
So that we can keep doing what we're doing. And I'm sure you hear every podcast out there does the same sort of thing. Sadly, it's required to spend the first, 4 minutes of the podcast telling you how you could support the podcast. So.
But in truth, we are a growing podcast. And
yes.
Ratings, reviews, they help a podcast grow. When you rate or review a podcast, it gives that podcast visibility, which in turn allows that podcast to reach a larger audience.
Yes. And I would just like to say thank you for all those who have been listening and tuning in. Our podcast downloads have tripled, and we do appreciate that.
Yes.
So, yes, pretty soon you will no longer be a member of an exclusive club of the tens of people who listen to the podcast.
It's not tens of people.
I know, but it's just kind of funny to say that, right? You could win tens of dollars, right? Have you heard that? So, anyway, back to the podcast. So if you've been listening to the podcast, you do know, or you should know, or you will know that we do like to start off the podcast with an interesting random factoid. And this one is exceptionally gross.
Oh, God, I can't believe we're talking about this again.
Well, we talked about it before, and in England, evidently they have a problem. Aside from driving on the wrong side of the road and using metric for measurements, they have these things called fatbergs.
Oh.
Do you know what a fatberg is?
Yes, unfortunately.
It's congealed fat that goes into the sewer, gets mixed with like the flushable wipes that don't actually flush other stuff and fat, and gets congealed into a big amalgamated mess of just disgustingness that plugs up the sewers.
And it moves.
And it just kind of does its own thing, right? It's kind of like the blob, but extra gross.
Is the real cryptid we never wanted to know about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we have talked about this in the past, but I found this to be exceptionally interesting. You can watch the fatberg, or a part of the fatberg, in real time. Through the power of the internet and the Museum of London, you can discover the fatberg.
This is terrible.
Yes. And what you can do is you can follow the links in our show notes, because we do put them in our show notes, and you can go to CreepGeeks.com, click on said link, and you can watch the fatberg in real time. Right? Now, let me give you a little bit of background here. In spring of 2018, the Whitechapel fatberg, which was a huge fatberg, right, was captured, I guess. It's probably the best way to look at it. And they took some of the last remaining parts of the world-famous Whitechapel fatberg at the Museum in London, and they put it in a special box, right? And they added those chunks to the permanent collection, and they're preserving it to fascinate and disgust future Londoners and us, good old Americans, right? So, following on the hugely successful display of fatberg, ! Which actually closed on July 1st, 2018. So they had this thing on tour in the Museum of London.
Yeah.
They decided to go ahead and put the last remaining parts of the monster fatberg in a box, right? So it's now been acquired into part of the permanent collection. And this highly toxic pieces of sewage, which are all together, will be stored in quarantine at the museum store, along with other artifacts across London's history, right? They made a nice, pretty case. They fitted it with a camera, and they live stream it at all times for the world to see.
This is terrible.
Yes. Now, here's what's been really interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can check back occasionally and see how the fatberg slowly develops while it's in the store.
Yeah.
Here's what they've seen so far. Whilst on display, the fatberg hatched flies. It sweated.
Oh, God.
It changed color. And since going off display and being sort of stored where you can watch with the live stream camera, it started to grow an unusual and toxic mold, which is showing up in the form of visible yellow pustules.
I'm done.
Yes.
Oh.
And they've identified that pustule mold as aspergillus. Now, conservators believe that the fatberg started to grow spores whilst on display, and now a month later, those spores have become visible.
My question, how did that happen? How did it get this mold?
Aspergillus.
Yeah, how did it get this mold while on display? That means at some point the casing or bespoke case that it's in, which means handmade, was somehow tampered with or lacked.
No. I think
What?
it's alive. I think it's growing. I think it's changing.
And
it's
that is-
metamorphosizing.
And that is my problem with the fatberg, because yes, it is fat from waste
Yes.
along with human disposed items like baby wipes. But it's also got critters in it. It's got
Flies.
and bugs
Yes.
and microorganisms
Yes.
and bacteria.
It's growing.
And
it's
now
eventually
mold.
going to hatch.
And when you watch them, like the underwater, under sewer cameras, they move like the blob, like
Yes.
monsters.
It's got its own sentience. It's intelligence.
So
it's alive.
This mold is making it sentient.
I think it's alive. See, people talk about like viruses and stuff like that creating zombies. I think when Fatberg gets to a certain size, it's going to break free from its bespoke box. And it's going to explode open and release those spores.
And
we're
attack
going to become
London.
Zombies. London's going to be the first.
It's going to
Just
attack
like
London.
with socialism.
Would you stop? Don't even.
That's exactly what's going to happen. And then they're going to have to quarantine London.
But I cannot say it.
Aspergillus.
Aspergillus. That particular mold is very, very hard on your lungs.
It's toxic, man.
It's an immune system destroyer. It can attack the central nervous system.
Yes.
Like all these random things I read when I was like, oh gosh. So
well, there's also the Fatberg diaries, which have been updated, so you can read more about Fatberg.
no, I cannot.
So when you're sitting there alone at night, wondering what to read about the Fatberg.
No.
Yes. So anyway, there's your interesting random factoid. You can watch the Fat Cam and see the Fatberg in real time. The Whitechapel Fatberg at the Museum of London, live stream. Enjoy the Fat Cam. You're welcome.
No.
Very nice. Okay, so moving back into the podcast, since we're done with the Fatberg, let's talk about something we thought to be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Spruce Pine Alien Conference and Expo, which we recently found out about.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll be completely honest, when I first seen the Spruce Pine Alien Conference and Expo, my original thought was, why is Spruce Pine having a UFO conference and expo?
Oh.
And Spruce Pine is in North Carolina, in case you were wondering. In the mountains of western North Carolina, you have Spruce Pine, right?
Yeah.
And they're also known for, primarily, before this, were known for minerals like feldspar quartz and chalk, all sorts of crazy stuff like that that's used in everything. If you're using a phone, chances are it has minerals that came from Spruce Pine, North Carolina, deep inside.
Yeah, and there's even a mineral museum right outside Spruce Pine.
Yes.
Or as you approach Spruce
And they have
Pine.
mineral conventions and stuff like that, so it's kind of a big thing.
There's 3 adorable rock shops downtown in historic Spruce Pine.
Heck yeah. And you were all excited and let's go. And I downshifted and put the Albino Rhino into low gear and blew right on by. Because guess who's not a rock nerd?
Apparently you.
That's right. Guess who is a rock nerd?
I am.
That's right. This little cheesy applause for being a rock nerd.
Anyways.
So the Spruce Pine Alien Conference and Expo. What does that mean for you? If you're in the area, I'll tell you what it means for you. It's free fun. Won't cost you anything. You can go see all sorts of amazing things that are going to be taking place. Again, at no cost. It's a family-friendly type thing that you can go to. So if you're looking for something to do in June, it's the 14th and 15th. Why not take a nice little drive up there? It's up in the mountains. It's pretty nice. And check out what's going on. This is the first time this thing has happened. So that's why we've never heard about it before.
Yeah. And it turns out it's a free event for families. It's a free, safe, fun event for families.
Yes.
There are some extras. They're going to have Mike Barra from, I think, Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
And he's going to be there. He'll be doing a couple of special talks. You can register for your special passes to those talks. Those are about $20. And that's on the website, which we put in the show notes. But other than that, I mean, it's a fun, simple event for families.
Yeah, they got an alien costume contest.
Yeah.
Live music, 40 vendors, VIP speakers like Mike Barra, and Area 51 play space for the youngsters. You can go get your stupid face painted, which I will probably get my stupid face painted.
The Area 51 bounce house or playhouse, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And
Evidently,
then
there's a weight limit. I don't think I'll be allowed.
the costume contest, I'm going to break out my camera for that.
Yeah.
Now, they're actually going to have an Alien Encounters local speakers panel or event on the main stage.
Where you can tell your story.
Yeah. And then they'll also have that throughout the event, 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. That's going to happen again.
Nice.
So, yeah, no matter what time you come, you'll be able to share your story if you've had an experience.
If we sound like we're excited by it, we actually are, because we're going to go.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost anything. Heck yeah. Now, the reason why I thought it was pretty weird that they would do something like this is because I didn't really know or put two and two together of where the gap that needed to be bridged there for me to kind of figure out what's going on with the Spruce Pine Alien Convention and Expo.
Yeah.
But with some quick research and realizing where Spruce Pine is actually located, it kind of makes sense because they have had some pretty significant UFO experiences and sightings in that whole area.
Yeah.
And you can't just say specifically Spruce Pine, because Spruce Pine has its own, but that whole area has had in the past a pretty large chunk of sightings.
Yeah, that particular region of western North Carolina has sightings dating back to the 50s.
Yeah.
And reports of alien encounters dating back to the 50s. Now, if you actually go to some place like the National UFO Reporting Center State Index for North Carolina, they've kind of put the categories all the way down to 1945 for Winston-Salem.
Yeah. That's where reported. That's where where they started recording or report it. That's where the first
but
recorded.
Then when you get to western North Carolina, we are talking like the early 50s.
Yeah.
So that's, I didn't realize that, you know?
Yeah. And you can basically click on the link and it'll take you to what we have. So if you go to the National UFO Reporting Center, the State Reporting Index for North Carolina, the way they have it set up is it's the most current events or most current reported events, I should say, that's been reported to them will be listed. And there's all sorts of neat things in there because you can click on each one of them and read the report. And they talk about everything from the, triangle-shaped craft, the vector-shaped craft, the typical saucer shapes, right? The orbs, weird lights, all that sort of stuff is all listed right in here. And there's a lot. I mean, there's some places that don't have that many UFO sightings, right?
Yeah.
Unidentified flying objects of some. Like here's one. Lime green triangular light, stationary, then moving, then vanished.
Wow. Okay.
Lime green. Somebody got them a paint job, right? Cigar-shaped craft, a cylindrical-shaped craft. It's like they're all in there. Fiery orbs that go zipping through the sky. And Spruce Pine has had its own series of, experiences as well. 2010,
red and yellow prisms in the sky over Spruce Pine.
Yeah. Like, what is that?
For an hour.
Now, after going through and taking a look and starting to really think about it, I realized that when we were in Georgia at the Bigfoot conference, and we had a chance to talk to Skyship's over-cashier's Mary Joyce a little bit because she's written books about this around the whole surrounding area.
Yeah.
It made sense because we had a chance to chat with her and we actually talked a little bit about the underground military bases that are in this area. And by in this area, I mean the Spruce Pine, like Pisgah National Forest, this whole western North Carolina leading into Tennessee. There's lots of stuff.
Yeah.
There's like, what was it? I can't remember what it's. It's like Pear, I think Pisgah. It's the radar array that they have up there. It's huge, and a lot of the materials that went into making that radar array came from Spruce Pine. The quartz, the feldspar quartz, all of that stuff is like it's all sort of tied in. And by just doing a quick dig, not necessarily a deep dive, we found that it's all related.
Pisgah Astronomical Research Institute, or PARI.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So
Pisgah International Astrological. What was it?
Pisgah Astronomical Research Institute.
Yeah.
Yeah, PARI. The former site of the NASA tracking station, and it also had a phased array radar antenna.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's supposed to be underground military bases in this whole area. So I think if you go and you just say take, I don't know, Hickory, North Carolina, all the way into Tennessee and the whole mountainous areas there's all sorts of things that are about, around, hiding. I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of stuff, and there's more information that we can dig through.
I mean, we came from...
once I scrolled and got to like, what, 80?
Yeah.
Over that, like 100, like just sightings in just this, in our sort of region that we're talking about here.
And, granted, we came from New Mexico. We came from the Southwest, which everybody, Arizona, and, Sedona and
Colorado
Roswell.
Out there with the deep under, and also, Deming.
So we were surprised.
With the DUMBs.
We were surprised to
military bases.
See this index of North Carolina experiences.
And it's not just like a UFO flap where they had a series of events and it sort of went away. No, these are ongoing. The last events that we see that's on the reporting, the National UFO Reporting Center index is from May 9th.
Wow.
And there was 3. And then before that, it was April 25th and then April 8th.
And,
and these are from people that actually know the phone number and actually know how to call and report. So imagine how many people have seen things and then haven't said anything.
And then going back to skyships over cashiers.
It's a fantastic resource, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, some of these witness testimonies, there's this one ranging, well, the testimony goes from 2008 all the way to 2010. So it's, like you said, it's ongoing. This particular experience goes, for a while.
Into 2012, and it's just continual.
Yeah.
What I like about the one that you're going to talk about is they're talking about the golden aliens.
Oh, yeah.
And the cigar-shaped skyship.
So this one is actually, I believe, 2006 or 2007. There is an editor's note where the witness lives on the Balsam Ridge just south of Highway 74 between Waynesville and Silva. Nearby landmarks, are Double Top Mountain and the Balsam Mountain Preserve Golf Course. This is an area where many skyships, UFOs, and black helicopters have been reported. This most dramatic sighting occurred after very unusual conversations, and this is golden aliens and a cigar-shaped skyship. Now, during a visit with friends in 2006 or 2007, the conversation went into talk of UFO sightings and extraterrestrials. One of the friends revealed to me and some of my family members that a few years before they were taken on multiple trips into outer space in a skyship craft. We were given a description of non-hostile, very tall, blonde, Nordic-type beings they called Goldens, who acted as their hosts and tour guides. The friend claimed that during the trips, the beings showed videos with hologram-like quality on a very large screen of the devastation mankind is causing to the planet and of what would happen in the future if we don't change our ways. They say the future footage was depressing, catastrophic, and very difficult to watch.
Yeah. Figures these pretty aliens would come all this way to show us how silly we are. Yeah. Like, hey, look what you're doing to your planet. You're killing everything.
Yeah, and then this person believed they were shown the images to encourage them to bring attention to the terrible future we are in the process of creating for our Mother Earth and all her inhabitants. Now, on a later visit with these same friends, the witness says the topic of UFOs, ETs, and spacecraft came up again. During this time, their friends kind of showed them a vegetable garden and changes they had made to their property to show that their experience with these Goldens had affected them. They went, turned a different angle, started taking care of themselves, grew their own garden, started taking better care of their property. So it was kind of like, this affected us. And that's...
Yeah, so it had an impact.
Yeah, and so that's what the witness observed. And one of the things that happened was they continued to tell the witness stories, which captivated the witness. But the words spoken as they left that night from their friend's house was, keep an eye out and maybe you'll see something. Maybe you'll see something tonight. That is just foreboding.
Dun, dun, dun.
Foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, they left around 11 p.m. and departed for their home. It was a clear, dark night and you could see the stars very well. Soon, while driving east from Silva, just as we were passing what used to be a hotel and heading uphill, I saw something I will never forget. It was a brilliant flash of white light, and a tear or rip appeared out of nowhere in the black velvet night sky. It looked like an opening, or maybe a portal of very bright daylight in a totally black yet star-studded sky. In this rip, I could see what appeared to be a very shiny, silver cigar-shaped UFO. That's weird. It looked like a plane without any wings. My son, who was also in the front seat, and I chimed in together at the same time. Did you see that?
Ew.
We saw the same thing, a brilliant flash of white light, which just for a few seconds illuminated a strange, silent craft in a tear-like rip in a totally dark sky. Then, just as suddenly, the rip in the sky disappeared and the sky went black again. That rip, tear, or portal and the strange craft completely disappeared without a trace. The witness notes there are no street lights on that section of road. There were no sounds before, during, or after the event. There were no airplanes, heat lightning, storms, nor any clouds, so nothing to explain away what they saw.
That's weird.
And it is weird because the reason I like this encounter is because we've had discussions about these Goldens or these Nordic type beings in previous episodes, and the whole cigar-shaped skyship thing. I grew up with the traditional flying saucer.
Yeah,
you know?
The old standard upside down.
And then as a teenager,
1950s kind of.
Living on base or off base or near base, military bases, it was the military hybrid craft or the vector triangle, top secret UFO type stuff. It wasn't until I was an adult and I read really old reports that they talked about the cigar shape. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's just like, wait, UFOs come in cigar shape? And that intrigues me. So, I don't know. It's a weird encounter, but it's very detailed.
Yes.
Yeah.
In all these counties, like Mitchell County, and, well, anyway, the way these mountains work here in western North Carolina is they're all attached. You know what I mean? So you can be on one mountain peak looking at another mountain peak. So that whole area there, if you just basically sort of grabbed it and ripped it off of North Carolina, is where all this stuff seems to be kind of showing up.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes sense. If there are underground military bases hidden here and, maybe there's craft coming out of those bases, maybe they're our bases, maybe they're DUMS, which is a deep underground military base. I mean, who knows what's going on? And, of course, most of that stuff is secret. And it would make sense if they started ramping up and building these underground facilities at the start of the Cold War, it would make sense to have,
the
some
increased
bases,
sightings,
and increase in sightings in some of the oldest mountain ranges in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now, one of the most common things I've noticed, and this kind of from a scientific perspective, may be attributed to all the minerals and gases and things like that.
And just I was trying to think of Yancey County. You got Mitchell County, you got Yancey County, and it's this whole area, man. The more you start looking, it's just it kind of makes sense, I would think.
Now, speaking to the
and the
mineral,
Brown Mountain Lights, don't forget about that.
That's what I was going to mention.
Oh, okay.
So, with the whole history of the area and the mountainous region, the geology of the area, and the mineral makeup of the region.
Yeah, composition.
Yeah, composition. One of the most common things in the Marion Spruce Pine type area, one of the most common UFO or unexplained sightings or reports are these orbs or balls that people see.
Yeah.
There's at least 3 reports of something like a Brown Mountain Light or Cherokee Light.
Ooh.
And one of these that I found on the National UFO Reporting Index was an encounter from a former retired deputy sheriff where he described a brown orb that floated around him and his cousins, and one other witness that was, I guess, more grown, but it kept floating around them for several minutes till they ran off to his dad and his uncle, And once they ran off or went to go tell them, hey, we have a brown orb following us, that's when it took off. And then there are witnesses on skyships over Cashiers about, a weird light that came within 12 feet of me and several other people, yellow and the size of softballs, which is about the same description, well, brown, but softball size.
Yeah.
So it floated between all of them, and then 3 more appeared for about, it was like 30-second intervals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the more common things that happens in Spruce Pine.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Is it the minerals? Is it a drone being sent out to scope for stuff that the aliens can mine? Yeah. I don't know.
Or is it the government? Who knows, man? I mean, that whole area there, with Spruce Pine, you've also like Boone and Bakersville, Burnsville, all that sort of area. And plus, it kind of butts into Tennessee.
Yeah.
Where the edge of the state works out there. It's like, it's just, I don't know. It's a lot. It's unusual.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely has its own thing going on, and with its own thing going on, after we sort of took a look, it made sense. Okay, so we've got the, the Spruce Pine Alien Conference and Expo, and it does make sense. Things tie into space because, with the minerals, the pure minerals that come out of here, you use them for everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything we have is silica based. It kind of makes sense. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So it should be an interesting time. It should be fun. And we can do some research in that area, so it's going to be good for us too.
Yeah.
It's another county, it's another place, it's another city, it's another town that we can go to without actually having to really expend a ton of resources, to explore.
Travel out too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
because
then,
it does kind of ride along like Virginia, Tennessee, in North Carolina, it's all sort of right there. So it's
now the Space Spruce Pine Alien Conference and Expo, one thing that I am excited about is from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m.-ish, as indicated on the website, dark sky tours. And we were just talking about that Perry, Yeah, but this is a place that has a dark sky designation, so you would get to go on a tour of the observatory up there, and that's something.
And see the dark sky.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what dark sky is, it's somewhere that's been certified that there's so little light pollution that you can get a really good clear view of the sky. We came from the Southwest, and when we moved into North Carolina, there was lots of open area where there wasn't that much light pollution at all, to where you could see the stars and the constellations and the Milky Way and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And then on the East Coast, a little bit more difficult. So to actually have a dark sky certified sort of dark sky park right there and be able to see the sky, if you like looking at that kind of thing, stars.
Yes.
And those celestial bodies, if you will, you'll be able to do that too. So it's going to be fun. So anyway, you kind of brought it up because I don't think very many people know about it, and it's good for people to know. And if you have not a whole lot going on and you want to go spend exactly zero to have a good time, you should go.
Yeah.
Now, it's zero to get in, but if you want to get something, of course,
they're having 40 vendors.
Yeah, you're going to have to bring some fold-in money maybe.
Yeah, and
a little walking around money.
Mike Barra, his talks are $20 to attend, and that's not bad.
Not bad. Should be fun. Get your stupid face painted. I get my stupid face painted.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is like whenever I pick up my phone and I want to take a picture, it seems like it's invariably on, selfie mode. So I get fired up and I see my stupid face and it startles me every time. It's like, oh, what's going on with that? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's great. All right. I think at this point we're going to take a little second and we're going to take a little break. And you're listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast, and we're going to be right back. What do you think about that?
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Bam. That's really low, and I don't know why. Do you know why? Weird.
Including those who have been indirectly affected.
I think we're being indirectly
Services
affected.
Provided include paranormal investigation,
Somebody's
property
listening.
research, and evidence review of residential, business, and private property locations. Cleansing of these properties are available upon request. No matter the circumstances of the paranormal experience, M&D Paranormal strive to offer a non-judgmental environment to promote education, open communication, and empathy to each individual that chooses to share their experience or come into our service. In achieving this goal, M&D Paranormal is building and bringing together a community of open and like-minded individuals by offering free monthly gatherings and events at the Shop Eclectic, 49 State Street, Marion, North Carolina. Call us anytime at 828-484-1637 or 828-559-2818 or email us at mndparanormal.
Hello, and we're back.
Yep.
Okie dokie. So anyway, that was the Sasquatch Squad. We thought they were kind of cool.
Yes. We
At
saw
the
them.
Georgia Bigfoot Conference there. And they threw you a CD. Like you're some kind of fan.
And an air freshener,
Oh yeah, and an air freshener.
which was their business card.
So it was kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. Put it in my backpack, and my backpack smells like black ice.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, very nice. Back to the old podcast there. And, you know, when we talk about weird news and strange news and things like that, or events, you know, that sort of thing, every once in a while we come across something that sort of weird, right?
yeah.
And this is something you came across. It's about Pope Lick Road.
Yeah. And when it started trending on social media the other day, I was like, why is Pope Lick Road so familiar?
Yeah.
And it turns out it's got this weird history of a monster, like a goat man, as well as just bad misfortune.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look right now on the Cult of Weird website where it gives a little bit of that history.
Yeah. And like this paranormal, this guy from Wisconsin, he's a paranormal researcher named J. Nathan Couch, and he recently took a legend trip, which is when you go out looking for legends like sheep squatch, you know, and goat man, things like that, dog man, and that sort of thing. And so the legend of the Pope Lick monster is said to be a strange, savage amalgamation, often described as a large humanoid creature with furry goat-like legs, alabaster skin, wide-set eyes, right, horns with greasy fur, like you were saying, like either being called the goat man or the sheep man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the people say that it's been attributed to at least 3 deaths. What do you think about that?
That's a little creepy. And
That's
it's
a
funny
lot
because
creepy.
it says at
Greasy
least
fur, man. What kind of detail? That's just gross.
it means somebody had to get close enough to this thing to be able to describe it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of close to kicking my computer right now because I'm trying to load this other article.
Yeah.
This one says attributed to at least 3 deaths.
Yeah.
And then right there, another life claimed in Kentucky. And the reason we're bringing this up,
Ooh, that means that's what, 4?
yeah, is because less than 2 days ago, a body was found in Pope Lick Park, right near where the haunted legends type area is.
Yeah, which would be where the Pope Lick trestle is.
Yes.
Because that guy went on, he did a little research, and this was in, 2013?
Yeah.
And and the trestle is kind of crazy. It's like a railroad trestle. If you don't know what that is, it's basically an iron bridge for the trains to go across. And goat man, that's pretty greasy fur. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
But people will go looking for it, right? And what they do is they climb onto the trestle trying to see the Pope Lick monster. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's like a recreational activity. And that's what they put it. They say has long been a recreational activity for reckless Louisville area youths, while even entertaining the idea of such an absurd creature might make the most ardent paranormal enthusiasts feel foolish. The Pope Lick monster has killed at least 3 people, and that's a fact.
Yeah.
So
And
they're saying that people have died trying to see.
this one
You know
account
what I mean?
that I was trying to pull up, this guy and his, I guess the woman he was dating, his girlfriend, they went out in search of the Pope-like monster along the trestle.
Yeah.
She died, and he literally threw himself off the trestle and was dangling off of it when an oncoming train happened. Because here's the thing. When he describes a scenario, they didn't hear the train.
Ooh.
And if you've listened to us in the past, you know that there's that weird sound bubble that kind of happens when you're in a weird woo-woo, paranormal, or crypto type environment. So was this bad luck and basically a bad idea on these people's part, or is something going on in these areas? So, because, I mean, the train came upon them so quickly. It got to the point where it was 40 feet away before they heard it.
That just seems a little odd.
And
I think that was in, what, 1987?
This was...
Or 2000?
2016?
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and because there was a 19-year-old Mount Washington guy who died because he was shaken from the trestle by train vibrations. That was in 2000. So it's like, okay, so far it seems to be more related to going out and looking for this little monster, this cryptid, if you will.
Yeah.
And then getting up on the train trestle and then either not hearing it and getting knocked off or getting shook off the thing. But why do you have to I don't understand why you have to get up on the train trestle. Is that part of it?
And that's the thing. The angles on some of these shots don't really make a lot of sense. I would assume it's a wooded area, a lightly wooded area.
Yeah.
Maybe they're getting up on the train trestle so that they can view down into the wooded area. So I'm not sure. It does speak to a very unusual situation because a lot of this is an Ohio tourist or an Ohio visitor.
Yeah.
And this is what, Kentucky?
Yeah,
Louisville, Kentucky.
It's kind of strange. So this recent death.
There are few details readily available, as always, but there was a heavy police presence, and then a body was removed. So that was the latest as of late night 2 days ago, and there's no further updates. But I've noticed when you do a Google dive on this, it's the same thing. Body discovered, it's in the news for a couple of days, and then nothing.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird.
And if you do that Google dive, what you'll notice is body found in vehicle, Pope-like park, Pope-like monster claims another, just all these things. What doesn't help is legend at Pope-like, Louisville's legendary haunted house. So they've built an attraction very close to this area that is a haunted house inspired by the legend of the Pope-like monster. And it draws more attention to this possibly cursed area. So
that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Oh wow. I'm doing the Google images search on the place. But yeah, it's unsettling because this hit a lot of the paranormal and weird news communities.
Yeah, saying, "Oh, look."
Like late last night.
Because it's basically because the police department found the body near Floyd's Fork. Yeah. Right? Which is, well, I guess from what I read here, Taylorsville and Pope-like Road. So I guess anything that's going to happen there is going to, bring up something, especially since it's supposed to be tied to the Pope-like monster.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. Kind of sad. So I don't know. I think if we ever go out there, we're not going to go up on that trestle because it seems like if you go up on the trestle,
no, and here's the weird thing. Here's one view of the trestle.
Yeah.
And it makes it seem like everything else is clear. There is a clear walkway clearly under the trestle that you would avoid getting hit by a train. It kind of hugs the curves of the woods and forest. But then you click on another link, and it's like, I don't know, kind of like Blue Ridge Parkway-ish. It's like a very dense forested area. So maybe this is a very long section or long area that we need to look at further because it goes anywhere from suburban-ish, I would assume, to very dense area where you could possibly get lost or something terrible happen. Or encounter a goat man,
Strange, savage amalgamation. Large humanoid creature, furry goat-like legs, alabaster skin, wide-set eyes, and horns. that protrude from greasy fur. That's kind of gross. And it says the goat man became the star of a circus's freak show until an electrical storm caused a train derailment. And then this devil-like creature was supposedly the only survivor. And instead of returning to the vast northern wilderness, the goat man made its way to the Poplik Trestle and is said to reside there even now. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But see, here's some of the folklore with the Poplik monster. It's supposed to possess a wide array of supernatural skills.
Yeah.
To lure people out onto the trestle, including mimicry, telepathy, or hypnosis. And once you're lured onto the trestle, the Poplik monster uses its abhorrent physical appearance to scare you, right?
Yeah.
Causing them to leap or fall to their demise.
80-foot fall.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
In some versions of the monster insist that the monster waits for a train to approach and then from beneath the trestle, right, holds its charms victims down until the train runs them over.
Okay.
That's not good.
No.
That seems like a lot of superhero powers to have for a cryptid. You know, mimicry. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can use mimicry.
Yeah.
Telepathy and hypnosis is something that I don't necessarily know, but I don't know. I would think that much description of what can happen to you would want to keep people away, but, you know, that's not the case. A lot of people get attracted to that sort of thing.
No.
So there's been a bunch of deaths there. It's not cool. At least 4 now in that area. But 3 are from the trestle. You get up there and fall off. One person got shook off. One person, you know, got hit by the train. It's kind of crazy. It's not like our next story, which was kind of weird. And the reason why I put it in here is because we did talk about a similar situation that happened not that long ago.
In North Carolina.
In North Carolina, that's correct. This basically says a toddler missing for 3 days found alive on a 50-foot cliffside near a strip mine.
This is also in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's why I put it in here.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow, that's kind of
And this was Saylorsville.
Salyer? How do you say it? Salyer?
Salyersville.
Yeah.
Kentucky. Kentucky State Police say a 22-month-old boy has been found safe almost 3 days after disappearing from his rural Kentucky home. State Police said in a tweet the boy, Kenneth Howard, was found just before 2 p.m. Wednesday in Floyd County in the area of a strip mine. He was taken by emergency medical services to be examined. Now, according to YMT-TV, the boy was located on a 50-foot steep incline cliffside, approximately 1,755 feet away from his home, when crews heard him crying. The TV station said the boy was being treated for dehydration. News outlets reported earlier that Magaffin County Emergency Management Director Robert Prater said the original search area was a half-mile radius from the home, but widened to about 1 mile and included an old, overgrown mining operation.
I think it's McGuffin.
McGuffin.
McGuffin County.
Okay.
So they widened the search and then they found it.
Yeah.
They found him.
My thing is, if he was already missing for over a day, at that second day mark, why would they do only a half-mile radius?
Yeah.
Especially
why would
in
they not include
area?
The overgrown mining operation? I mean, maybe because there's no real pictures. You know, maybe it was just really hard to get to, and they figured that there was no way a 22-month-old kid could get there.
But here's the thing. They had dispatched dogs, ATVs, helicopters, and drones with thermal cameras
to search the rugged terrain.
Yeah.
See here, okay. So they search for the kid for 3 days. They don't find anything. And then on the 3rd day, they hear him crying.
Yeah.
Where was he at for those 2 days they couldn't find him? Did he make his way back there?
I think they're trying to spin the story that because the search was only a half mile instead of the full mile. And here's the thing. That's just barely over a mile right there, you know? So why would, I don't know. It's not adding up. The numbers are not adding up, and I'm getting frustrated.
Well, let's see how long a mile actually is.
Okay.
Okay, it's 1.609,344 kilometers. For all you people out there. So really,
Oh, wait.
a mile is 5,280 feet roughly,
Yes.
which is about 1,760 yards. Okay, yards.
And he's...
And he was 1,800 feet away. All right. So he was like a third of a mile, if that. Depending on, I mean, granted.
But okay, so now I'm like...
So he's super close, right? I mean,
my
so
field
1,800
math there.
feet.
Yeah.
Right? You figure 1836, 48? I mean, so he was close.
Wait, so that does mean he was in the vicinity of the original search.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. He was like right there. They heard him crying.
I had a decimal in the wrong place in my head.
I mean, it happens because you start thinking,
Yeah.
But, okay, so if he's only 1,800 feet away, roughly, and they said, they had an initial search area of a mile, you would think that they would have heard him or seen him.
Yeah.
Unless he wasn't in that area. But it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. They're not saying a lot.
He was dehydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 22 months old.
It's less than 2 years old.
It's less than 2 years old.
Now, the last kid, everybody said that, or the kid said, right, that a bear was like hanging out with him, that he was basically saved by this bear, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're not saying anything like that with this kid. They just said he was tough little kid.
And that was, again, a 3-year-old,
Yeah, and that kid was 3, and he said a bear.
And he was found within close vicinity to his house.
Yeah.
And it was funny because a woman walking her dog found him pretty much just a little bit past a ditch.
Yeah. And they found this kid pretty much just a little bit past his house.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,800 feet, that's not a lot. That's, it just seems like it's just kind of strange. I mean, I would like to think that this kid was saved by a bear, and by a bear we all mean Sasquatch, right? Or something like Bigfoot, but it doesn't really give any details.
And to me...
It just says that he was found. He's a tough little kid. I don't know how we're going to thank everybody because we had lots of help. We had people from everywhere. I really don't know where all the people came from, out of state, everyone to help us. The South McGuffin Fire Department Assistant Police Chief said.
That right there.
Or Assistant,
Sets off
Fire Chief.
My missing 411 flag.
Yeah, that's why I put this in here.
Yeah. People came from out of state. He doesn't know where they came from. Everybody came to help.
Yeah.
What do we hear in a lot of the missing 411 sightings?
Black helicopters, military type people show up to help. A lot of times they help, but they don't really share.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But he was found on a 50-foot steep incline cliffside, 1,755 feet away from his house.
Near a strip mine.
Yep. And he was treated for dehydration.
Did they bother to check for caves or where he could have been hiding?
It doesn't say. And that's the thing about these things. They don't really give a lot of information. You would think that since that last kid was saved by a bear, and everybody speculated Bigfoot, that they would have information sort of related to that, because this came through the Associated Press. But they don't. It's kind of the same thing. With the exception of that little kid said he was saved by a bear, there's not a whole lot of details there either.
Yeah.
It's just weird, man.
I do think it's odd that...
I mean, how could he be gone for like 3 days and then show up on the third day and he's just a little dehydrated? And how did he... Was he there the whole time? Did he walk? It's information like that I would want to know. What did the little kid say? Granted, he's only 2, almost 2. I'm sorry, he's 22 months, but...
One of the complaints with a lot of the missing 411 phenomenon and the missing persons phenomenon, not just missing persons and the tragedy that entails, but this phenomenon of unexplained disappearances or people going missing, is the fact that there's coverage, like immediate coverage regarding their disappearance. A search is deployed, but then after that, there's not enough details if the search was successful or not.
Yeah.
And we used to being in the past few years, we used to claim the reason of that was because there wasn't enough media to provide coverage.
Yeah.
That's not the excuse anymore. We have social media where I found out about a body found in Kentucky in less than 24 hours. We don't live in Kentucky. It's not the 1950s anymore where we have to wait a week to hear something on the news,
Yeah.
Information is immediate, and there's cameras, smartphones, there's a reporter in all of us.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse why we don't have
no evidence of foul play with this kid.
They're
saying he's a tough little kid.
It's like, that complaint of there wasn't enough coverage about the finding of the person is still true. Why aren't there more details?
I don't know.
And usually the FBI gets deployed in missing person cases. The FBI.
I mean, honestly, and depending on what kind of drone they're using, you can send that thing up and fly it around, between 400 feet, as long as there's no real aircraft traffic there.
Yeah.
400 feet in the air covers a lot, but it's also, they had a thermal camera on it.
Yeah. Also, and we noticed this in New Mexico, your drone had a hard time in mineral-rich environments.
Oh, yeah.
So if this was a strip mine,
yeah,
However, dogs, what was the result of the dogs? That's the type of stuff that kind of bothers me. So, yeah. Okay,
so the original search area was a half-mile radius from the home, but then they widened it to about a mile to included an old overgrown mining operation. I don't know.
That's weird. That means someone really messed up. I shouldn't say that.
No, because we don't really know because we don't have any freaking details. But the whole thing is just like, okay, they're calling this kid, they're saying like he's a true little mountain boy, right? Like he's a tough little mountain boy. But why would you, here's how I would do it. If a 2-year-old got missing and you search for a while and you can't find him and there's like an overgrown mining thing going on, that'd be the first place I would go look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every show you ever see on TV, the little kid falls down a well. So you go look for the most dangerous thing in the area, and that's where you go look. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But I was looking for the similarities between the little boy in North Carolina and this little boy in Kentucky.
Remember
and there are some, but there's still, with both those instances, there's just not enough detail. Both these instances, there's just not enough detail to see. Because it would have been really cool if this little kid's like, yep, was saved by a bear, but he's only 2, so I don't know how well he talks. But
remember when they in the 80s and the 90s where it was like all these kids kept falling down wells?
Yeah.
Or found in like caves or mines?
Yeah, there you go. You always go to the most dangerous place. That's where they all are. The first place is like, where are we going to search? Okay, you guys check around the house. We're going to go to the most dangerous place in the area, this overgrown strip mining operation, and we'll find him there. I don't know. You think about thermal, even a little kid, he's big enough to leave, like a large dog-sized thermal print, I would think, or a signature, heat signature, especially at night. I don't know. It's just kind of odd. And it's the whole thing happened around the 16th of May. So it's still not super-duper hot outside, but I don't know. It's just kind of one of those weird things.
Oh, here's a better article I found on CNN. It does give a little more detail, but it's like, still not all the detail.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was kind of strange. That's why I put it
300 acres were searched. Again, nearly less than 1,800 feet from his house. So,
if you listen to the whole, or if you with David Pallades and the whole missing 411, and when kids show up, or the theory is whenever a Sasquatch, if you believe in that sort of thing, is involved, that the kid magically gets sort of plopped back close to the house, and then a lot of people will say, that once the kid gets sort of plopped back in the vicinity of the home where they were gone or whatever, got lost from, that the theory is that the Sasquatch will hang around to make sure that the kid is found and then run off. So, good guy Sasquatch, right? I don't know. It's just kind of a strange thing. Yeah. Kind of odd. Anyway, we thought we'd kind of include that in the podcast because we've talked about that sort of thing in the past. And it's like, that's looking for similarities, and the only real similarity we have is not a lot of detail. So,
yeah,
there's that. Very nice. Well, I think at this point we've about exhausted all of our energies talking about some of the weird stuff. It's about that time. So we're going to go ahead and be done. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I do want to say again, be sure to check out the show notes where we put links to everything we talked about. There's links to how to reach us on social media, our Twitter, our Facebook groups, and our Facebook fan page. However, if you do want to get in contact with us, be sure to email us. You can do that at contact@creepgeeks.com. And follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, we have a pretty active Instagram. It's pretty nice.
We have provided links to both CreepGeeks YouTube channel as well as M&D Paranormal, who is the paranormal investigation team that we've joined. because we are a part of the In Real Life series. We joined a paranormal investigation team.
Yeah.
We figure if we're going to talk spooky news to you guys across the internet airwaves, why not actually have the experience?
Yeah, so we kind of do that sort of thing. So not only do we chat about it, we try to experience it as much as we can.
Yep.
Yeah. And when we do the paranormal investigations, usually there's dinner afterwards, and it seems like you have two choices for late night debriefs after an investigation. Waffle House or Denny's. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah. So which one's more classy? I don't know. It's up to you to decide. You're going to...
No, I'm not going to chime in on that.
Anyway, so yeah, there you go. So yeah, and you should follow us. You should listen. Anyway, Wednesday we're going to be talking about the Georgia Guidestones on Weird Wednesday, and you've been listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast, and that's it.
Yep.
All right. So anyway, see you later. Take it easy. Bicycle.
Bye.